The Zaltronian spacecraft, a marvel of interstellar engineering, descended through the Earth's atmosphere, its sleek metallic surface reflecting the sun's rays as it approached its designated landing site, a spacious green park in the heart of a bustling cosmopolitan city. Crowds had gathered, their faces a mixture of excitement and apprehension, smartphones pointed skywards to capture the historic moment. On board, the group of Zaltronian students buzzed with anticipation. Unlike their human counterparts, the Zaltronians were tall and slender, with shimmering blue skin and large expressive eyes that took in their surroundings with a palpable curiosity. Their society was known for its peaceful ways and advanced technology, and the idea of military history was foreign and slightly unnerving to them. The student delegation was led by Vira, a particularly brilliant student who had studied Earth from afar, fascinated by its diverse cultures and complex social structures. Alongside her was Rixo, the group's historian, eager to understand how a planet with such rich biodiversity could have such a contentious history of conflict. As the spacecraft's doors opened with a gentle hiss, a delegation of Earth's top educators and diplomats welcomed them. Cameras flashed, and cheers erupted from the crowd as the students stepped onto the soft grass, exchanging formal greetings and tentative smiles. "We are here to learn and exchange knowledge," Vera announced to the assembly, her voice amplified by a translator device. "We hope to understand Earth's history, not just through your victories, but through your struggles and lessons learned." The welcome ceremony was brief yet warm, with presentations of gifts from both sides, artistic depictions of peace and prosperity from Zaltron and from Earth, an assortment of cultural artifacts and books filled with human history. As the ceremony concluded, the students were escorted to their new residence, a specially prepared dormitory that combined human comforts with adjustments to suit Zaltronian needs. Like rooms bathed in the ultraviolet light they thrived in, and nourishment units programmed to replicate their home planet's cuisine. That evening, as the city lights twinkled below, the Zaltronian students gathered around the large oval windows of their dormitory lounge. They discussed their first impressions and shared their excitements and apprehensions about the upcoming classes. "The concept of warfare is so alien to us," Rixo mused, his voice tinged with a hint of anxiety. "To think that conflicts could shape so much of a planet's history is bewildering." Vera nodded, her eyes reflecting a skyline so different from the floating cities of Zaltron. "Let's approach this with open minds. There's much to learn, and perhaps in understanding Earth's past, we can help forge a future where such histories need not repeat." With that resolve, they turned their gaze back to the stars above, a reminder of their home far away and the new world they were about to explore. Their journey of discovery had just begun, and tomorrow's history class would be their first deep dive into the turbulent yet transformative events of Earth's past. The following morning dawned bright and clear, with the soft hues of sunrise painting the city skyline. The Zaltronian students, led by Vera and Rixo, made their way to the university, an architectural blend of old stone facades and modern glass structures, embodying the historical and progressive spirit of Earth. As they entered the classroom, a diverse group of human students turned to gaze curiously at the tall, blue-skinned newcomers. The professor, Dr. Emily Harrow, a woman with a keen intellect and a warm smile, greeted them enthusiastically. "Welcome to World History 301, The Art of War," Dr. Harrow announced as the class settled. "This semester, we're diving into Earth's military history, a subject that has shaped nations, cultures, and the very fabric of our global society." The Zaltronians took their seats, their eyes wide with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Dr. Harrow began the lecture with an overview of the earliest recorded conflicts, projecting images of ancient artifacts and battle sites onto a large screen. "We start in the ancient Near East," she explained, pointing to a series of detailed maps and ancient reliefs depicting warriors and chariots. Conflict here was often driven by territorial expansion, resource acquisition, and, significantly, ideological and religious differences. Rixo, taking notes on a thin, light-emitting tablet, whispered to Vera, "Their reasons for war seem so primal, yet complex. It's quite different from our disputes, which are usually resolved through discourse and consensus. As the lecture progressed, Dr. Harrow introduced the students to the concept of the city-state and the rise of empires, explaining how warfare evolved with advancements in technology and strategy. She detailed the significance of the Bronze Age collapse and the chaotic interregnum that reshaped civilizations. For the Zaltronians, the idea that entire societies could rise and fall through the art of warfare was startling. Dr. Harrow, sensitive to their reactions, paused to address them directly. "It may seem harsh, the ways in which our ancestors settled their differences," she said, meeting the eyes of her alien students. "But it's important to understand the context, the fear of the unknown, the drive for survival, and the occasional but significant strides toward peace and alliances." As the class wrapped up, Dr. Harrow assigned readings from several perspectives on ancient warfare, including philosophical debates on the ethics of war and peace. She encouraged the Zaltronians to think critically about the material, inviting them to compare and contrast with their own societal norms. As the students filed out of the classroom, buzzing with discussions and debates, the Zaltronian group lingered behind. Vera approached Dr. Harrow with a thoughtful expression. "Dr. Harrow, today's lesson was enlightening but also unsettling," she admitted. "Learning about conflict is like exploring a dark part of the soul." Dr. Harrow nodded understandingly. "Indeed, Vera. History can be dark, but it also teaches us valuable lessons about resilience, the human spirit, and the potential for change. I hope that through this course, you all will find insights, not just about us, but perhaps about yourselves too." With a renewed sense of purpose, the Zaltronians left the classroom, ready to delve deeper into the complexities of Earth's history, seeking to understand the darker parts of human nature while hoping to uncover the light that had led to periods of peace and cooperation. The next few weeks saw the Zaltronian students immersed in the detailed study of ancient military strategies that shaped the early civilizations of Earth. In today's class, Dr. Harrow planned to delve deeper into the tactical aspects of ancient warfare, discussing the military formations and strategic innovations that marked significant turning points in human history. The classroom buzzed with anticipation as Dr. Harrow began her lecture with the tactics of the Assyrians, renowned for their ferocity and military might. The Assyrians, she explained, were among the first to use iron weapons extensively, giving them a distinct advantage in battle. Their military campaigns were marked by psychological warfare and terror tactics, which they used to intimidate and control subjugated peoples. The images of Assyrian war reliefs depicting sieges and mass deportations appeared on the screen, causing the Zaltronians to exchange uneasy glances. Rixo noted the strategic use of fear, a tactic completely alien to the consensus-driven conflict resolutions of Zaltron. Dr. Harrow then shifted to the innovations of the ancient Egyptians. The Egyptians, in contrast, were known for their chariots, she continued, displaying images of the light, fast vehicles that had revolutionized warfare in their time. Their use of the composite bow, combined with highly mobile chariotry, allowed them to strike swiftly and with deadly precision. As the lecture progressed, Dr. Harrow introduced the Greek phalanx, a tight formation of hoplites that moved as a single formidable unit. This formation, she pointed out, relied heavily on unity and discipline. Each soldier's shield protected not only himself, but also his neighbor, creating a wall of spears and shields. This concept sparked a lively discussion among the Zaltronian students after the class. They were intrigued by the idea of individual components working so seamlessly together for a common purpose, a principle not unlike their own societal emphasis on collective well-being. However, it was the Roman legions that truly captured their attention. Dr. Harrow described how the Romans organized their soldiers into a highly structured military system, allowing for flexibility and sustained campaigns far from their home territories. The Romans, she elaborated, were masters of engineering on the battlefield. They built forts, bridges, and roads that not only facilitated the movement of their armies, but also cemented their hold over vast territories. The strategic use of infrastructure for military purposes was a new concept for the Zaltronians, who were accustomed to using technology primarily for environmental and societal benefits. The dual-use nature of many human technologies, both for construction and destruction, was a recurring theme that the students found both fascinating and disquieting. As the class ended, Vera approached Dr. Harrow with a thoughtful look. "Today's discussion on unity and structure within military units was particularly striking," she said. "It seems that the principles of cooperation and strategy can be applied both in war and peace." Dr. Harrow nodded, pleased with the insight. "Exactly, Vera. While the context might be vastly different, the underlying principles of strategy, unity, and adaptation are universal. Understanding these can provide valuable lessons in any context, perhaps even on Zaltron." Motivated by this perspective, the Zaltronians left the classroom with a deeper appreciation for the complexities of Earth's history. They realized that while the application of these strategies was often martial, the strategies themselves could teach much about human ingenuity and the universal pursuit of stability and order. The subsequent weeks at the university took the Zaltronian students into the medieval period, a time characterized by knights, castles, and the code of chivalry. Dr. Harrow began the class with a detailed description of the feudal system, explaining how land was exchanged for military service, forming the backbone of medieval European societies. The concept of chivalry, Dr. Harrow elaborated, was not just about warfare. It was also a code of conduct that included ideals like honor, loyalty, and protection of the weak. Knights were expected to uphold these values both on and off the battlefield. The students watched intently as images of armored knights, grand tournaments, and majestic castles were displayed. Dr. Harrow described the typical life of a knight, from rigorous training and combat to the grand ceremonies of accolade, where a squire was officially elevated to knighthood. Rixo was particularly fascinated by the tournaments, where knights would compete not only to showcase their combat skills, but also to gain honor and social standing. "It's intriguing," he remarked, "how these events mixed both the celebration of martial prowess and the reinforcement of social codes." However, the reality of medieval warfare was much harsher than the romanticized version often depicted in literature and folklore. Dr. Harrow did not shy away from this, detailing the brutal sieges, the devastating impacts of war on the peasantry, and the Crusades, which represented a complex interplay of religious fervor, economic motives, and medieval geopolitics. The discussion of the Crusades particularly troubled the Zaltronians. Vera posed a question to the class. How did people reconcile the ideals of chivalry with the violence and cruelty of the Crusades? Dr. Harrow acknowledged the contradiction. The coexistence of high ideals with brutal reality is a recurring theme in human history, she explained. Chivalry was often more aspirational than practical, and the Crusades were justified by many as a holy duty, overshadowing the more worldly motivations and the atrocities committed. The class then shifted to the construction and strategic importance of castles. These fortifications were not just military strongholds, but also symbols of power, Dr. Harrow said, showing diagrams of castles with their moats, battlements, and keep. They were designed to withstand sieges, and were often centers of local government and society. This led to a hands-on session in the next class, where students were divided into groups to create models of medieval castles, incorporating defensive features they learned about. The Zaltronians, applying their advanced understanding of materials and structures, approached the task with a mix of historical accuracy and innovative engineering. As the chapter on medieval warfare concluded, the Zaltronians reflected on the complexity of human nature as seen through the lens of chivalry. They were struck by the juxtaposition of high moral ideals with the grim realities of medieval life, and the capacity of humans to strive for noble ideals even in the depths of conflict and adversity. Their discussion that evening in the dormitory was introspective, pondering whether any civilization, Zaltronian or human, could ever fully achieve its ideals. The lessons of the medieval period, with its grand heroes and harsh realities, provided much food for thought as they prepared for the next phase of their historical journey. As the semester progressed, the focus of Dr. Harrow's class shifted to a pivotal moment in human history, the introduction and spread of gunpowder. This new technology, which originated in China, dramatically transformed warfare and had profound implications for the rise and fall of empires. Dr. Harrow began the lecture with a brief history of gunpowder's invention in China, emphasizing its initial use for fireworks and ceremonial purposes. However, she noted, it didn't take long for its potential in warfare to be realized, leading to the development of guns, cannons, and other artillery. The Zeltronians were captivated by the rapid adoption and evolution of gunpowder technology as it spread to the Middle East and eventually to Europe. Dr. Harrow displayed diagrams and animations of early gunpowder weapons, explaining the changes they brought to battlefield tactics and fortifications. Gunpowder leveled the playing field, so to speak, Dr. Harrow explained. Heavily armored knights and fortified castles, once dominant, could now be challenged by cannons and firearms. This democratization of military power led to significant social and political changes. Rixo, always keen on understanding strategic implications, asked, "Did this technology also affect the non-combat aspects of society?" "Absolutely," Dr. Harrow responded. "The military applications of gunpowder led to increased demand for saltpeter and sulfur, boosting trade and the development of new trade routes. Moreover, the need for better cannons and firearms spurred advancements in metallurgy and chemistry." The discussion then moved to the Age of Exploration, a period marked by European maritime expeditions around the world. Armed with gunpowder weapons, European powers were able to establish colonies in the Americas, Africa, and Asia, Dr. Harrow continued. This not only reshaped world geography, but also led to complex interactions between different cultures, often with devastating consequences for indigenous populations. The moral and ethical dimensions of this period troubled the Zeltronians deeply. Vera, reflecting the sentiment of her peers, expressed her concern. The impact of these technologies seems to have been a double-edged sword, bringing both progress and suffering. Dr. Harrow nodded, acknowledging the dilemma. Yes, the history of gunpowder is indeed a testament to the dual nature of human ingenuity. While it brought about technological and territorial advances, it also facilitated conquest and exploitation. To deepen their understanding, Dr. Harrow assigned a project on the global impacts of gunpowder. The students were to research and present on various regions of the world, examining how gunpowder technology affected local cultures, economies, and political structures. The Zeltronians, paired with human classmates, delved into this project with enthusiasm, eager to explore the interconnectedness of technological innovation and historical development. They found themselves especially intrigued by the adaptive strategies different cultures employed in response to the challenges introduced by gunpowder weaponry. As the project presentations unfolded in the subsequent weeks, the Zeltronians gained a nuanced appreciation of Earth's complex history. They saw how each society's unique response to the challenges and opportunities presented by gunpowder technology shaped its path through history. This exploration not only broadened their understanding of human civilization, but also offered insights into the broader themes of adaptation and the consequences of technological change. The Zeltronian students' historical journey through Earth's past approached a critical epoch, the 20th century, and the cataclysmic events of the World Wars. Dr. Harrow prepared a comprehensive module, aware of the profound impact these wars had on the shape of the modern world and the ethical quandaries they presented. The First World War, or the Great War, as it was known initially, erupted in 1914. Dr. Harrow began, her tone somber. She described the complex web of alliances and geopolitical tensions that led to a conflict so widespread it was dubbed the War to End All Wars. The classroom was filled with maps and timelines, tracing the movements of armies and the fronts that stretched across continents. Dr. Harrow explained the technological advancements during this period, such as tanks, machine guns, and chemical warfare. She highlighted how these innovations made the war particularly deadly, leading to massive casualties in trench warfare, a brutal and static form of fighting marked by miserable conditions and high death tolls. Rixo, visibly moved by the images of soldiers in trenches and the devastated landscapes, asked, How did societies cope with such extensive losses? It was a profound challenge, Dr. Harrow replied. The loss reshaped societies, economies, and political landscapes. The trauma led to a collective yearning for peace, which, unfortunately, was not realized long enough. Moving on to the Second World War, Dr. Harrow detailed the rise of totalitarian regimes that exploited the unresolved issues from the First World War and the global economic depression. She discussed the pivotal battles, the Holocaust, and the use of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, events that highlighted the destructive capacity of humanity. The introduction of nuclear weapons particularly shocked the Zaltronian students. Vera, grappling with the ethical implications, said, "The power to destroy entire cities with a single weapon must weigh heavily on human consciousness." Dr. Harrow nodded. "It does, and it has shaped global politics ever since. The threat of nuclear war has led to international treaties and constant diplomatic efforts to prevent such a catastrophe." The lecture series included guest speakers, veterans and historians, who provided personal accounts and scholarly insights, deepening the students' understanding of the human aspects behind the historical events. The Zaltronians were particularly struck by a veteran who spoke of his experiences and the long-lasting effects of the war on his life and family. As part of their coursework, the students were tasked with creating a multimedia presentation that explored the long-term impacts of the world wars on various countries. Working in mixed teams of humans and Zaltronians, they researched economic recovery, political changes, and the psychological impacts on societies. This project not only helped them understand the vast repercussions of the wars, but also allowed them to explore the resilience and innovations that emerged from such devastation. The Zaltronians were moved by stories of reconciliation and the formation of international bodies like the United Nations, aimed at preventing future conflicts. Through this intense exploration of the world wars, the Zaltronian students gained a deeper appreciation for the complexities of peace and conflict, the devastating potential of technological advancements in warfare, and the enduring human spirit's capacity for recovery and reconciliation. They reflected on these lessons, contemplating the fragile balance between power and responsibility as they prepared for the next chapter of their historical journey on Earth. As the semester continued, Dr. Harrow guided the Zaltronian students through the complexities of modern warfare, beginning with the Cold War era. This period was marked not by direct combat between the major powers, but by proxy wars, espionage, and a fierce arms race, especially in nuclear capabilities. The Cold War, Dr. Harrow explained, was largely a battle of ideologies between the capitalist West, led by the United States, and the Communist East, led by the Soviet Union. It shaped global politics and military strategies in the second half of the 20th century. The classroom was equipped with various media, including documentary clips and interactive timelines that illustrated the geopolitical chess game, including the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and the Cuban Missile Crisis. The students learned how these conflicts involved not only the superpowers, but also smaller nations, pulling them into larger global struggles. Vera was particularly interested in the technological aspects. How did advancements in technology influence these conflicts, she asked. Dr. Harrow responded, technology played a crucial role. For instance, satellite technology not only changed communication, but also surveillance. It allowed superpowers to monitor each other and smaller states, increasing tensions, but also creating new forms of diplomatic and military strategy. The lecture moved to the Vietnam War, highlighting the impact of television broadcasting in shaping public opinion and policy. For the first time, the horrors of war entered living rooms across the world, leading to widespread protest movements and changing the way governments conduct and justify war, Dr. Harrow noted. The discussion on modern warfare also covered the rise of guerrilla tactics and asymmetric warfare, where non-state actors or smaller nations utilized unconventional methods to combat larger, conventionally armed forces. The Zaltronians found the shift from large-scale battles to these irregular forms of conflict puzzling yet intriguing. The evolution from set-piece battles to guerrilla warfare shows a change in understanding of power on the battlefield, commented Rixo, reflecting on the adaptability of human military strategy. Dr. Harrow introduced the concept of cyber warfare, a significant aspect of contemporary conflict. In today's world, wars are not only fought on physical battlegrounds, but also in the digital realm. Cyber attacks can disrupt a nation's infrastructure, steal sensitive information, and sow discord without a single bullet being fired, she explained. The class engaged in a workshop where they simulated a cyber attack and defense scenario, helping the Zaltronians understand the complexity and immediacy of this new form of warfare. They were particularly adept at the technical aspects, given their advanced technological background, which allowed them to grasp quickly the potential and risks of cyber warfare. As the chapter on modern warfare concluded, Dr. Harrow tasked the students with a group project to analyze recent conflicts, such as the War on Terror and the ongoing issues in the Middle East. Each group was to present on different aspects, including the political motivations, the role of international organizations, and the humanitarian impact. This deep dive into modern warfare allowed the Zaltronian students to see the full spectrum of human conflict, from traditional battles to the shadowy realms of cyber attacks. It highlighted the continuous evolution of warfare, shaped by both technological advances and the enduring complexities of human nature. Reflecting on these discussions, the Zaltronians began to understand the daunting challenges and responsibilities that came with technological power, prompting thoughtful discussions on the ethical use of technology in their own and human societies. As the semester drew to a close, the Zaltronian students gathered in a seminar room for a series of reflective sessions led by Dr. Harrow. The purpose was to synthesize their learning experiences and discuss the broader implications of Earth's combat history on their understanding of human culture and their own perspectives on conflict and peace. The room was arranged in a circle to facilitate an open dialogue among all participants. Dr. Harrow initiated the session with a thought-provoking question. Having studied various aspects of Earth's military history, what are your reflections on the causes of these conflicts and the lessons that can be learned? Vera, taking a moment to collect her thoughts, responded first. One thing that stands out to me is the recurring theme of fear and misunderstanding leading to conflicts. It seems that many wars were sparked by misperceptions or a lack of communication between parties. On Zaltron, we strive for transparency and understanding, which helps in mitigating such issues. Rixo added, I was struck by the innovation driven by warfare. It's paradoxical how destructive activities can lead to technological progress that also benefits civilian life. It makes me wonder about the ethical implications of such advancements and the responsibility that comes with them. Dr. Harrow nodded thoughtfully, encouraging the discussion. Indeed, the dual-use nature of technology is a significant ethical challenge. How about the human aspect? What have you learned about how individuals and societies cope with the aftermath of conflict? Another student, Lena, a Zaltronian specializing in psychology, chimed in. The resilience of humans is remarkable. From the world wars to modern conflicts, despite the tremendous loss and trauma, societies eventually find pathways to recovery and even progress. It's both inspiring and a critical lesson for any civilization. The conversation shifted towards strategies for peace-building and reconciliation, drawing parallels to Zaltronian diplomatic practices. A human student in the class, Jamal, pointed out, it's interesting to see how some Earth strategies align with Zaltronian methods, like the emphasis on diplomacy and international law. However, the presence of deeply entrenched national interests and historical grievances often complicates peace efforts. Dr. Harrow encouraged them to think about how these lessons might apply to their own lives and future careers. As future leaders, scientists, and diplomats, consider how you might use what you've learned to foster better understanding and cooperation, both on Earth and Zaltron. For their final assignment, the students were tasked with writing reflective essays on their personal lessons from the course, and proposing ideas for applying these lessons to improve intercultural and interplanetary relations. The reflective sessions provided the Zaltronians with a broader perspective on human nature. its capacity for both conflict and profound cooperation. They appreciated the complexities of Earth's history, not just as a series of events to be studied, but as a mirror reflecting the challenges and possibilities of their own society. As they prepared to return to Zaltron, they felt a mix of gratitude and contemplation. Their time on Earth had not only expanded their academic knowledge, but also enriched their understanding of the dynamics of peace and conflict, setting a foundation for their contributions to a more peaceful universe. The day of departure arrived much quicker than any of the Zaltronian students had anticipated. Their time on Earth had been a profound journey of discovery, not just academically, but personally and culturally. As they packed their belongings, they reflected on their experiences and the deep insights they had gained into both human and Zaltronian societies. In the early morning, the students gathered in the university's main hall for a farewell ceremony. Faculty members, fellow students, and some of the friends they had made during their stay were present to bid them goodbye. Dr. Harrow, along with university officials and a few diplomatic representatives from both Earth and Zaltron, were also in attendance. Dr. Harrow took the podium first. Today we bid farewell to our friends from Zaltron, who have been more than just students. They have been ambassadors of peace and understanding, she began, her voice filled with emotion. Their presence here has been a reminder of the universal quest for knowledge and the importance of viewing our own history through the eyes of others. Vera, chosen to speak on behalf of the Zaltronian students, stepped forward. When we arrived, we were strangers to your planet, curious and eager to learn about Earth's history, especially its conflicts, which were so foreign to us. What we found was not just a history of wars, but also a story of resilience, innovation, and the constant pursuit of peace. She continued, "We leave with a greater understanding of the complexities of human nature and a deep respect for your capacity to overcome adversity. We take with us not only knowledge but also cherished memories and friendships that we hope will continue to flourish across the stars." After the speeches, the ceremony concluded with the exchange of gifts that symbolized peace and cooperation. The Earth representatives presented the Zaltronians with a collection of Earth art, literature, and scientific works, while the Zaltronians gifted a small, intricately carved model of their spacecraft, made from a rare Zaltronian mineral, as a symbol of their appreciation and hope for future interstellar collaborations. The farewell was emotional, with many hugs and promises to keep in touch. The students then boarded their spacecraft, their minds filled with countless memories and a newfound appreciation for the diversity and depth of Earth's culture. As the spacecraft lifted off, leaving behind the green expanses of the university campus, the students gathered at the viewing ports, watching Earth recede into the distance. The planet had given them more than just an education. It had provided them with a broader perspective on conflict, peace, and the potential for mutual understanding between different worlds. Reflecting on their journey, Vera turned to her peers. "We came here to learn about Earth, but we leave learning so much about ourselves and what we can contribute to the universe. Let's use this knowledge not just to better our own world, but to foster a broader dialogue between Zaltron and other civilizations." With Earth now a small blue dot behind them, the Zaltronian students set their course for home, carrying with them the lessons of Earth's past and hopes for a peaceful future, inspired to advocate for understanding and cooperation both within their own society and in the interstellar community. Their journey had changed them in ways they were only just beginning to understand, but they were eager to share their experiences and insights, hopeful for what the future holds.